Martin was planning to make another film based on a book. A copy of Shusaku Endo's novel Silence fell into his hands while on the set of The Last Temptation of Christ. Of course, after the challenges he faced with this religious film, shooting another raised doubts among studios. Plus, there was a Japanese version made in 1971. The screenplay he and Jay Cox had written didn't help either. The same journalist who had introduced Martin to Cassavetes had given him The Age of Innocence. Negotiations with Italian studio Cecchigori Pictures, who owned the rights to the book, led to the agreement, but the project fell into development hell until either Scorsese or the studio could find funding. Towards the end of 1996, Harrison Ford's wife, Melissa Matheson, approached Martin and asked him to read her screenplay.
And they said, "Who's that?" I said, "Marty Scorsese." And they said, their mouths fell open. I said, "Are you out of your mind?"
Kundun was a biography based on an interview with the 14th Dalai Lama, and covers 30 years of Tibetan history. Not a single producer believed that the director would take on this film. His experiences with The Last Temptation of Christ and his rejection of Schindler's List led to some uncertainty.
I'm not saying he wants to do it, but I know he's going to get it.
But nevertheless, he agreed. The loss of his mother, to whom the film is dedicated, was the director's motivation this time. Catherine had succumbed to Alzheimer's on January 6, 1997. This was very painful for Martin. The love and reverence for his parents could be seen throughout his career.
You did not want to say goodbye. We never choose our way to die. I did not find a word to say. Some words to heal and a place to pray.
I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like when he puts me in a picture and then he takes me out. That's not fair. I worked so hard.
The Dalai Lama represents unconditional love, and to me, my mother was the closest person with that kind of love.
Is he still taking this? I'll murder you. You won't get out of this house alive.
Universal Pictures was the first to soon take an interest in the film, but no sooner had they signed the contract than their troubles started. The Chinese government opposed the film because it discussed the annexation of Tibet, and the production company got cold feet. Surprisingly, the project was picked up by Disney's subsidiary Touchstone Pictures, who provided a $30 million budget. This earned the company a 2-year ban in China. Not a single Disney production was broadcast on the territory of the PRC. Not wanting to lose the market, the studio officially apologized, signed a dozen unprofitable film distribution contracts, and built Disneyland Shanghai at its own expense, the profits of which the Chinese government owns a percentage. But in 1997, optimistic producers were hoping for a positive outcome to this story. It was, of course, a little scary that the production only had 4 professional actors in its cast, and those only played cameos.
Tibet has been poisoned by religion, and your people are poisoned and inferior.
A young Dalai Lama was played by his distant relatives, and in order for the novice actors to seem organic, Martin brought in Roger Deakins. The director wasn't so much attracted to the cinematographer's outstanding credentials as he was his history of working with documentary films, where one's ability to work with people with no acting experience is essential for success. The military occupation of Tibet meant that shooting there would be impossible, so outdoor shots were filmed in Morocco, where the director had already filmed The Last Temptation of Christ.
We were intending to shoot in India, but, we just never got the permit. And so we're back in the Atlas Mountains, where I shot most of The Last Temptation of Christ a decade ago. Actually, it's almost the same locations, too.
While interior shots of the temples were filmed in a Buddhist monastery near Woodstock, also somewhere he had worked before. For scenes involving children, the crew had to build a clown house in order to get the children to look in the right direction when needed.
I'd sit there and I'd see that clown looking at me. We're just waiting and waiting and waiting until he was giving us something,
Kundun was a rare example of one of Scorsese's movies receiving a PG rating, but that did nothing to help its success at the box office. The director was convinced that Touchstone Pictures' fear of China led to them sabotaging the film's ad campaign.
We do not know how it will end, and it is very sad.
Without proper promotion, they had doomed Kundun to be a box office failure. The film brought in a meager $5.5 million, just 1/6 of its budget. And yet critics consider this film to be the most beautiful of Scorsese's career. And the price for bringing to life such beautiful, yet horrifying events? Lifelong travel bans to China for Martin, Roger Deakins, Melissa Matheson, Harrison Ford, and 50 other crew members. But Scorsese wasn't planning a trip to Asia anyway. He was on his way to Italy.
The more films I made, the more I realized what an indelible mark Italian cinema had left on me.
Following his documentary on American cinema, he directed a 4-hour essay on Italian classics.
It's not as if Rossellini, Visconti, and myself sat down in the Via Veneto one day and said, hey, let's create neorealism. I mean, it basically started with filmmakers just trying to get their movies made.
These two films should be considered textbooks for every movie lover.
I like to think of neorealism as the seed from which a beautiful, solid tree has grown. And the branches on that tree represent virtually all the major Italian filmmakers of the post-war era.
Hey, do you like our work? Let us know with your like and comment. Push that subscribe button and share with your friends. If you want to support the project financially, become our sponsor on Patreon or YouTube sponsorship. Thank you.